In another timeline, one choice changed everything. Welcome back to the alternate scrolls. Today we explore what might have happened if Dumbledore never learned about the Horcruxes. A soft hush falls over Hogwarts on a moonlit night, the ancient castle looming in quiet silhouette. Inside his office, Albus Dumbledore gazes into the darkness, troubled by a mystery he cannot name. Years of wisdom weigh on his shoulders, yet one dark secret slips through his grasp. The fate of the wizarding world begins to shift the moment Dumbledore fails to uncover Voldemort's twisted key to immortality. It starts subtly. In Harry Potter's second year, a bewitched diary nearly claims the life of Ginny Weasley in the Chamber of Secrets. Harry destroys that diary with a basilisk fang amid the chamber's shadows, unknowingly vanquishing a fragment of Tom Riddle's soul. Dumbledore later examines the diary's ruined remains and senses powerful dark magic, but he never realizes its true nature. He does not see that this diary was a Horcrux, a vessel containing part of Voldemort's soul. And so, in this timeline, the headmaster never learns about the Horcruxes. From that moment onward, the future bends down a darker path. Dumbledore continues to watch over Harry with care, but his plan for defeating Voldemort remains vague and half-formed. He focuses on guarding Hogwarts and offering Harry general guidance from afar, without any secret mission to destroy the Dark Lord's anchors. Harry grows up brave and determined as ever, yet with a growing uncertainty in his heart. By his third year, after facing Dementors and uncovering the truth about Sirius Black, Harry feels the weight of destiny, but no clear direction. Prophecies whisper of his role in Voldemort's downfall, but Dumbledore only counsels patience and love, offering no concrete strategy. Harry is left to wonder how, when the time comes, he will be able to defeat a foe who seems to defy death itself. By the time Harry is 14, tension crackles in the air. The Triwizard Tournament at Hogwarts is supposed to be a time of international magical cooperation, but it becomes the stage for Voldemort's return. When Harry's name mysteriously flies out of the Goblet of Fire, Dumbledore suspects foul play, but cannot discern the culprit or purpose. He watches with mounting worry as Harry is forced into deadly tasks, facing dragons and diving into icy lakes, all the while sensing a gathering darkness beyond the edges of the competition. Finally, during the tournament's last challenge, Harry is unexpectedly portkeyed to a cold graveyard under a starless sky. In a flash of horror, the trap is sprung. Peter Pettigrew uses Harry's blood in a sinister ritual, and Lord Voldemort rises again, reborn in a body of pale flesh and burning malevolence. That night, beneath the yew trees and headstones, Voldemort stands fully restored and more confident than ever. A circle of Death Eaters rejoices at their master's return. Harry, bound and terrified, can only watch as Voldemort revels in his resurrection. In this timeline, the Dark Lord's triumph is even more assured, because all his Horcruxes remain intact and hidden. No secret hunt has weakened him, no prior knowledge checks his hubris. He feels invincible. Voldemort casts aside any pretense of caution and duels Harry for sport, cruelly intent on proving his dominance. But when their wands connect, a remarkable phenomenon, a radiant magical bond of phoenix firelight, allows Harry to break away. In the chaos clutching the body of fallen Cedric Diggory, Harry escapes the graveyard and returns to Hogwarts. Back at the school, under the pale light of dawn, Harry sobs out the truth. Voldemort is back. Albus Dumbledore's face goes ashen when he sees the grief in Harry's eyes and Cedric's lifeless form. The headmaster believes him without question. Within hours, Dumbledore summons the old crowd of the Order of the Phoenix, preparing for the dark days ahead. Yet privately, Dumbledore is deeply uneasy. He has just witnessed Voldemort's return from beyond death, and he has no explanation for how the Dark Lord survived all those years, only to rise again. In his heart, Dumbledore suspects there must be something he's missing, some dark magic that granted Voldemort unnatural longevity. But without the knowledge of Horcruxes, he cannot pinpoint it. Resolving to do what he can, he dedicates himself to protecting Hogwarts and guiding Harry as best as possible, hoping the solution will reveal itself in time. War looms openly as Harry enters his 5th year. The Ministry of Magic stubbornly refuses to acknowledge Voldemort's return, leaving Dumbledore and his allies to fight a covert battle. Grimmauld Place becomes a secret headquarters where plans are whispered late into the night. Dumbledore insists Harry stay out of direct combat for now and continue his education. From afar, he mentors the boy with kind words and subtle advice, but still no special mission. Harry feels frustration simmering within. He yearns to be proactive, to understand how he, a 15-year-old, is supposed to defeat the most powerful dark wizard of all time. All he has is a cryptic prophecy, overheard in fragments, suggesting a lethal connection between himself and Voldemort. Neither can live while the other survives. Throughout that year, Harry is plagued by vivid nightmares and sudden pains in his lightning scar, unknowingly experiencing visions through the psychic link that ties him to Voldemort's soul fragment. Dumbledore, fearing this connection, keeps a physical distance, hoping to spare Harry from possession or manipulation. This leaves Harry feeling more isolated than ever. Meanwhile, Hogwarts endures the tyranny of Dolores Umbridge, a ministry plant who punishes any talk of Voldemort's return. In secret defiance, Harry leads Dumbledore's army, teaching his friends defensive spells in the dusty room of requirement by flickering candlelight. It empowers the students, giving Harry a sense of purpose in protecting others, yet he still lacks any insight into how he might one day destroy Voldemort for good. The turning point comes in June at the Department of Mysteries. Lured by a false vision of Sirius in danger, Harry leads his friends into a trap. A fierce battle with Death Eaters explodes among the glowing prophecy orbs. In the melee, Sirius Black is struck down, falling through the veil of death as Harry screams in anguish. At that moment, Dumbledore arrives in a whirl of fire, dueling Voldemort himself in the atrium of the Ministry. It is a sight of awe. The elder wizard conjures a shining shield and a torrent of water to counter Voldemort's lethal curses. Their duel shatters the glossy floor and sends shockwaves rattling the Golden Fountain statues. In the end, Voldemort, realizing the duel is stalemated, flees in a cloud of black smoke just as Ministry officials finally witness his presence and accept the truth of his return. After the battle, in a quiet office, Dumbledore at last shares the full prophecy with Harry. By flickering candlelight, tears in his eyes for the loss of Sirius, Harry learns that he is the Chosen One, destined to have power the Dark Lord knows not, and that one of them must ultimately kill the other. The weight of this revelation settles heavily on Harry's shoulders. He now understands why he has been targeted since infancy. Yet Dumbledore has little comfort to offer beyond the truth. The headmaster admits with sorrow that he is still searching for answers on how Harry can triumph. He speaks of love being Harry's greatest power, the love that saved him as a baby. But when Harry asks how that alone will stop Voldemort, Dumbledore can only shake his head wearily. Harry leaves that meeting feeling both determined and desperately uncertain. He knows what must be done in theory, but not the means to do it. In 6th year, darkness seizes the wizarding world in its grip. Voldemort's followers grow bolder, launching attacks openly now that the masquerade of secrecy has fallen. Muggle-born witches and wizards disappear or flee as fear permeates every alley and village. Through it all, Hogwarts remains a last bastion of hope under Dumbledore's watchful protection. Thestrals and Aurors patrol the school grounds, and ancient protective enchantments are strengthened on its walls. Inside, the atmosphere is tense but resolute. Classes continue, Quidditch matches are played, and students cling to normalcy, even as newspapers brim with grim news. Dumbledore walks the halls with a calm smile for the students, but at night his forehead creases with worry. He still has not solved the riddle of Voldemort's immortality. Unbeknownst to the headmaster, a plot is unfolding within the castle itself. Draco Malfoy, a 16-year-old Death Eater in intent if not experience, has been tasked by Voldemort with a terrible mission: assassinate Albus Dumbledore. Fear and conflict war within Draco as he struggles to fulfill the Dark Lord's orders. In secret, he works to repair a vanishing cabinet that can bring Death Eaters inside Hogwarts' very walls. Despite Draco's furtive behavior, Dumbledore does not fully discern the plan until it is too late. The headmaster's attention, divided by many concerns and lacking critical information about Voldemort's Horcrux safeguards, leaves this crack in Hogwarts' security. One stormy night, lightning splits the sky over the astronomy tower as Draco's plan comes to a head. Under cover of darkness, Draco manages to smuggle a handful of Death Eaters into the castle through the cabinet. Harry, alerted by a friend about suspicious activity, races up to the tower and arrives to a heart-stopping sight. Dumbledore is cornered at one point by Draco and several black-robed Death Eaters. Rain lashes sideways in the howling wind as Dumbledore, surprisingly calm, speaks softly to Draco, imploring him to see reason. Harry, hidden in the stairwell shadows, watches with dread. In an instant, spells erupt. A stunned cry rings out as members of the Order who had been standing guard engage the intruders on the winding stairs below. Dumbledore swiftly disarms one Death Eater with a flourish of his wand and sends another reeling backwards with a stunning spell. Harry, unable to stand by any longer, bursts onto the tower platform to fight at Dumbledore's side. Chaos ignites on the ramparts. Jets of red and green light illuminate the battlements in staccato flashes. Harry duels a snarling Fenrir Greyback, barely evading the werewolf's slashing claws and curses. Dumbledore moves with fierce grace, holding off the frenzied assault of two Death Eaters at once, his robes whipping in the storm. Amidst the fray, Draco Malfoy stands frozen, wand trembling as he aims at Dumbledore but cannot bring himself to strike. The old headmaster sees Draco's hesitation and lowers his own wand slightly, offering the frightened boy a chance to surrender. Suddenly, a new figure storms onto the tower. Severus Snape, cloak billowing. Harry's heart leaps with relief at the sight of his professor, supposedly an ally. "Severus, help us!" Harry shouts over the wind. But Snape's face is a mask of conflict and resolve. Bound by an unbreakable vow to assist Draco, Snape takes in the scene. Draco's faltering courage, the wild desperation in the Death Eater's eyes, Dumbledore standing vulnerable mere feet away. In a flash, Snape raises his wand and points it directly at Dumbledore. The headmaster's eyes widen in shock. "Severus, please," Dumbledore whispers, uncertain. Snape's expression twists in anguish as he forces out the incantation that the vow compels. Avada Kedavra. A burst of blinding green light strikes Dumbledore in the chest. For a fraction of a second, the world seems to stop. Harry watches in absolute horror as Albus Dumbledore is lifted off his feet, a look of sad understanding on his face. Then the headmaster's body arcs over the battlements and disappears into the darkness below. Time rushes back in a roar of wind and thunder. Dumbledore is gone. A raw, unearthly cry tears from Harry's throat, part denial, part fury. Snape grabs Draco by the collar, and with a final swish of his cloak, he and the Death Eaters flee down the spiral stairs into the night, retreating through the vanishing cabinet before reinforcements arrive. Harry tries to chase them, but an invisible wall of shock and grief holds him in place. Rain pelts his face as he staggers to the edge of the tower and peers down, seeing only wet darkness and the vague shapes of people gathering below around a fallen figure. Hogwarts has lost its guardian. The aftermath is devastating. At dawn, students and teachers huddle in despair as Dumbledore's body is recovered and laid in the Great Hall, beneath the enchanted ceiling that reflects the gray morning sky. Hogwarts, which had always been a symbol of safety under Dumbledore's leadership, feels suddenly vulnerable and broken. Harry is numb with shock and guilt. The one person who might have known how to ultimately defeat Voldemort is dead, and there was no final guidance or farewell. Any lingering hope that Dumbledore had a secret plan dies with him. Harry, Ron, and Hermione cling to each other, realizing the full weight of the fight will now fall on their shoulders alone. In the days that follow, Voldemort's forces tighten their grip on the wizarding world. The Ministry of Magic falls to a coup orchestrated by Death Eaters, and a puppet minister does Voldemort's bidding. Hogwarts is turned over to Severus Snape as the new headmaster, a cruel irony that sparks outrage among many, though they dare not protest openly. With Death Eaters, the Carrows, installed as enforcers, the school year becomes a nightmare. Many students withdraw. Those who remain face a regime of fear and cruelty. Harry, Ron, and Hermione never return to classes. Instead, as summer ends and their 7th year would have begun, they vanish into the countryside, determined to carry on the fight Dumbledore left unfinished. Before leaving, Harry pays one last visit to Dumbledore's white tomb on the grounds. Pressing his palm against the cool marble, he silently promises to find a way to defeat Voldemort. Somehow. Hermione and Ron flank him, steadfast in their loyalty. They have no specific instructions, only a shared resolve and Harry's status as the chosen one to guide them. In the horizon, thunder rumbles from an approaching storm. It matches the turmoil in Harry's heart, but he steels himself. They disappear into the thickening dusk, 3 young wizards on a mission with no roadmap. For months, Harry, Ron, and Hermione move like ghosts through Wizarding Britain, hiding under the invisibility cloak and camping in remote woods. They listen to clandestine radio broadcasts about Voldemort's regime hunting Muggleborns and crushing any opposition. Each day on the run is a test of their ingenuity and faith. What keeps them going is the mystery they must solve: how to kill a man who cannot die. Hermione, ever resourceful, recalls a term she encountered years ago: Horcrux, and the peculiar behavior of the diary in 2nd year. Piecing together clues, the friends come to a grim realization. Voldemort must have used Horcruxes to anchor his soul, explaining how he survived his apparent death. At last, they have a direction. Find and destroy these Horcruxes, the source of Voldemort's immortality. Their first solid lead comes from Sirius's late brother, Regulus Black. Hiding in the musty old Black family home at Grimmauld Place, the trio discovers Regulus's scribbled note and a heavy locket bearing Salazar Slytherin's mark. Regulus had uncovered one Horcrux, the locket, and stolen it from Voldemort's hiding place years ago, intending to destroy it. He died before he could. Now Harry holds that same locket, feeling the evil pulsing within it like a malevolent heartbeat. Reading Regulus's note, "I have stolen the real Horcrux, so that when you meet your match, you will be mortal once more." Harry's eyes light with hope. This confirms their theory. Voldemort did shatter his soul. The diary and this locket are 2 pieces. How many more might there be? Perhaps no more than a handful. Dumbledore's earlier guesses about Voldemort collecting trophies suddenly make sense to Hermione. Likely Horcruxes were made from significant objects tied to Hogwarts founders or to Voldemort's own past. The hunt intensifies. Relying on Hermione's research and Harry's recollections of things Dumbledore had mentioned about Tom Riddle, they compile a list of possible Horcruxes. Slytherin's locket they have in hand. The diary is already destroyed. There were rumors of a cup belonging to Helga Hufflepuff that Riddle stole from a wealthy collector. That must be another. Perhaps something of Ravenclaw's, a lost diadem. Or Gryffindor's, though only the sword comes to mind, and it resides safely at Hogwarts. And Nagini, Voldemort's great serpent, seems unnaturally important to him. She could be a living Horcrux. Tracking down Hufflepuff's cup becomes their next objective. Clues point to Bellatrix Lestrange's Gringotts vault as its likely hiding place. This necessitates a break-in to the Wizarding Bank, a nearly suicidal mission under normal circumstances, let alone in wartime. But without hesitation, the trio prepares for it. Using Polyjuice Potion, Hermione disguises herself as Bellatrix, and with clever bluffing, they manage to enter the opulent marble halls of Gringotts. What follows is a harrowing sequence straight out of legend. They descend into the bank's depths on a rattling minecart, facing anti-intruder enchantments and a captive dragon whose roars shake the very cavern walls. Reaching the Lestrange vault, they encounter multiplying treasure cursed to smother thieves. With quick thinking and nimble wand work amid the scalding surge of duplicating gold, Harry snatches Hufflepuff's cup at last. Discovered and cornered by goblin guards, the three make a desperate escape by leaping onto the back of the half-blind security dragon and blasting their way out. Morning in Diagon Alley is shattered as a dragon bursts from Gringotts in a rain of marble and glass, carrying 3 whooping riders on its back. Tumbling off the dragon into a remote lake far from the city, Harry, Ron, and Hermione emerge soaked, singed, but victorious, another Horcrux in hand. Now the real challenge is destroying these vile objects. Conventional spells don't suffice against such dark magic. Harry recalls how the Basilisk Fang destroyed the diary and realizes they need a similar weapon. Thus, the trio sneaks back into Hogwarts, now under Snape's tight guard, to retrieve Basilisk Fangs from the Chamber of Secrets. In a risky underground venture, Ron mimics Harry's Parseltongue to open the chamber's entrance, and Hermione gingerly pries loose several gigantic fangs from the basilisk's crumbling skeleton. Armed with these venomous daggers, they take turns destroying the Horcruxes they have gathered. First goes Slytherin's locket. When Harry stabs it, the locket shrieks in supernatural fury. A spectral image of Voldemort's eye flares in its glass, and black smoke billows out, filling their minds with hateful whispers. But Harry and his friends steel themselves until the dark presence is snuffed out. Next, Hermione plunges a fang through Hufflepuff's cup. The cup gives an unearthly scream, a spray of dark blood bursting forth, and then it falls silent, cracked down the middle. Another piece of Voldemort's soul perishes. By now, Voldemort has become alarmed. Harry's scar prickles with bursts of anger, not his own, and he glimpses flashes of the Dark Lord's mind. Voldemort has discovered that some of his Horcruxes are gone. Enraged and suddenly fearful for the first time, Voldemort decides to take the offensive. He marshals his forces and marches on Hogwarts, the place he suspects one remaining Horcrux tied to Ravenclaw might be hidden, and also the stronghold of his remaining enemies. As lightning splits a black sky, Voldemort's army arrives at the school's doorstep, and the final battle begins. Under cover of darkness, Harry and Hermione manage to slip into the Ravenclaw common room just before chaos erupts. There, they confirm Voldemort indeed hid Ravenclaw's lost diadem at Hogwarts. Guided by Harry's scar and their best clues, they rush to the Room of Requirement. Within that shifting chamber of secrets, they find the diadem perched in a jumble of forgotten artifacts. Its jewels glint with an otherworldly sheen. Harry can almost feel the malevolent fragment inside it thrumming. Without hesitation, he strikes it with a basilisk fang. A howl like a cyclone screams through the room as the diadem cracks and crumbles to dust. Yet another tether of Voldemort's soul torn away. Now only one Horcrux remains, Nagini, the serpent. No sooner have they destroyed the diadem than an explosion shakes the castle's very foundations. The Battle of Hogwarts is in full fury. Death Eaters blast through protective enchantments, Giants storm across the grounds, swinging tree trunk clubs to shatter walls, and dark creatures pour from the forbidden forest. The night is alive with spellfire. Jets of green and red light streak across courtyards and battlements. Teachers, order members, and brave students duel the invaders in every corridor. The enchanted suits of armor charge into battle with clanking valor, while gargoyles topple from the roof under bursts of dark curses. The once secure castle erupts with noise and chaos. Its proud staircases collapse, its towers burn. Amidst the bedlam, Harry, Ron, and Hermione fight side by side, determined to protect their school and finish what they started. As the battle rages, Harry's eyes continually search for Voldemort. He knows this war can only truly end when he faces the Dark Lord himself. Many beloved defenders have fallen already in this desperate fight. Harry catches sight of beloved friends and mentors lying among the fallen. One of Ron's brothers is struck down, and Ron's anguished scream nearly breaks Harry's heart. Harry forces himself onward. Their sacrifices cannot be in vain. Then, like a dark miracle, Voldemort's magically amplified voice resounds through the smoke-choked air, cold, clear, and commanding. He calls for Harry Potter to come forward, to surrender himself. The fighting ebbs at this demand. In the sudden eerie lull, Voldemort promises that if Harry gives himself up, no more lives will be lost. If not, he will raze Hogwarts to its foundations and slaughter everyone within. Harry looks around at the battered, blood-stained survivors around him. He sees terror and exhaustion on their faces, and unwavering loyalty. Hermione meets his gaze, tears on her cheeks, and resolve in her eyes. Ron stands nearby, bruised and shaking, but gives Harry a firm nod. Ginny and the remaining Weasley family huddle together, gazing at Harry with pleading hope. In this chilling silence, Harry understands what he must do. Harry finally understands the power Dumbledore spoke of: love. In this moment, his love for his friends and his school outweighs all fear. To save them, he is willing to lay down his own life. He turns to Ron and Hermione and quietly tells them his decision. Hermione begins to sob, shaking her head in protest, and Ron's voice cracks as he argues that there must be another way. But Harry is resolute. "I'll be all right," he lies gently, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. "This is what I have to do." Fresh tears spill down Hermione's face as she pulls Harry into a fierce hug. Ron grips Harry's arm, eyes red, and manages a gruff, "We're with you, mate." Harry knows they would follow him even now, but this final step is for him alone. Harry slips away under the cover of the invisibility cloak and walks toward the Forbidden Forest, where Voldemort waits with his gathered hordes. The night air is cool on his skin. The forest seems to shiver with anticipation, a ring of torchlight visible ahead through the trees. Harry's heart pounds steadily, but he feels strangely at peace. He has accepted what he must do. He steps into the clearing, casting aside the invisibility cloak and revealing himself. A collective gasp rises from the Death Eaters at the sight of Harry Potter stepping out of the darkness, unarmed and alone. Voldemort stands at the center of the clearing, Nagini coiled at his feet within a protective, magical orb. His serpentine face curves into a cruel smile as Harry approaches. "Harry Potter," he says softly, almost mockingly. "The boy who lived, come to die." Harry draws a deep breath, his hands trembling but empty at his sides. He locks eyes with Voldemort and musters the memory of every loving face that has given him strength. He thinks of Ron and Hermione, of Ginny, Neville, and Luna, of the friends he's lost and the parents he never knew. In Voldemort's eyes, Harry sees nothing of that love, only emptiness and malice. He nods, a gesture of readiness. Voldemort lifts the Elder Wand and aims directly at Harry's heart. "Avada Kedavra," the Dark Lord hisses. A flash of blinding green light crashes over Harry, and everything goes black. Silence. Then a soft, distant sound of something like a child crying. Harry opens his eyes to find himself in a strange, misty place that looks like King's Cross Station under a warm, ethereal light. He feels unhurt and oddly serene. A figure approaches through the shimmering haze. It is Albus Dumbledore, wearing half-moon spectacles and a kindly smile. In this limbo between life and death, Harry speaks with Dumbledore's spirit, or perhaps a conjuring of his own mind. Dumbledore gently explains what has happened. By willingly sacrificing himself, Harry has protected everyone at Hogwarts with the deep magic of love, the same ancient magic that once saved him as a child. Voldemort's killing curse, meant for Harry, instead destroyed the fragment of Voldemort's soul that lived unseen within Harry all these years. Harry himself has survived, tethered by his own sacrifice and by the fact that Voldemort used Harry's blood to regenerate. In essence, Voldemort anchored Harry to life when he took Harry's blood, a mistake that now gives Harry the chance to return. Dumbledore places a comforting hand on Harry's shoulder and asks, "Do you wish to go back?" Harry, thinking of his friends and the battle still raging, answers with a determined yes. In the blink of an eye, the luminous station fades, and Harry is pulled back to the world of the living. He awakens face down on the forest floor, alive and aching, but miraculously unharmed. All around, Death Eaters are celebrating, believing him dead. Nearby, Voldemort calls his followers to attention. Eager to display his supposed victory, Voldemort commands Hagrid, who has been bound and captured, to carry Harry's body. Trembling with grief and rage, Hagrid obeys, gathering Harry limply into his arms. Harry keeps his eyes shut and body slack, playing dead as best he can. He can feel Hagrid's huge frame shaking with sobs as the half-giant trudges behind Voldemort out of the forest. They emerge onto the Hogwarts grounds, forming a grim procession. Voldemort's ranks sweep toward the devastated castle entrance, with Hagrid lumbering at the front, holding Harry's seemingly lifeless body. Gasps of horror and heartbreak rise from the survivors inside Hogwarts as they see Harry carried forth. On the rubble-strewn steps, Professor McGonagall lets out a strangled cry and covers her face. Ron's voice echoes in a roar of despair. "Harry, no!" as Hermione collapses against him, sobbing uncontrollably. Ginny tries to rush forward, but Mrs. Weasley grabs her, both of them wailing. The defenders' hope crumbles at this sight. Their hero appears dead. Voldemort stands before the shattered gates of Hogwarts, delighting in their agony. He uses magic to amplify his voice and declares, "Harry Potter is dead. The boy who defied me is no more." His words slither through the dawn air, met by peals of cruel laughter from the Death Eaters. "Those who continue to resist," Voldemort calls out, "will meet the same fate. This battle is won. Your cause is lost. Bow to me and live, or refuse and die." He gestures, and Hagrid is forced to lay Harry's body on the cold ground for all to see. The defenders of Hogwarts stand trembling and bereft, encircled by Voldemort's army. For a moment, it seems darkness has finally triumphed, and then hope explodes into reality. In one sudden motion, Ron and Hermione have crept forward amid the stunned silence. With identical looks of resolve, they suddenly spring into action. Ron snatches up the sword of Gryffindor, which had fallen from the sorting hat, and with a single mighty swing he beheads Nagini as the great serpent rears in alarm. Nagini's severed head thumps onto the ground, and her long body collapses in a coil of death. Gasps erupt from both sides as Voldemort screams in fury. Nagini was the final Horcrux, and now it has been destroyed. At that exact moment, Harry acts. He rolls out of Hagrid's arms and throws off his cloak. "I'm alive, Tom!" His voice rings out, strong and resolute. Awe and hope ripple through the defenders as Harry stands facing Voldemort, alive. Voldemort's red eyes blaze with sudden uncertainty, an emotion unfamiliar to him. The protection Harry bestowed by sacrificing himself now shields those who fought for him. Voldemort's spells can no longer bind or terrorize them as before. Sensing his advantage slipping away, Voldemort lets out a scream of raw rage and launches a killing curse in blind fury. But Ron and Hermione cast shielding charms in time to deflect it. Chaos returns as Death Eaters react in shock and the battle resumes in the courtyard. Now only Voldemort and Harry matter. Spells fly around them, but the two adversaries slowly circle each other in a cleared space amid the rubble. The early morning sun breaks over the horizon, its light falling upon Hogwarts' ruined walls and upon Voldemort's face, twisted in hate. Harry's friends hang back, dispatching the last Death Eaters and giving Harry a chance to finish this, once and for all. Harry grasps the Elder Wand in his hand, for when he rose, the wand lying with his cloak practically jumped into his grip, recognizing its true master at last. Voldemort, unaware of that shift of allegiance, still sneers with derision. He will not accept anything but total victory. With a high, wordless cry, Voldemort unleashes another flash of Avada Kedavra. At the same instant, Harry thrusts out his wand and shouts, "Expelliarmus!" Green and red light collide in midair with a resounding boom that shakes the very stones. For a moment, it's as though a golden dome of energy envelops the two duelists. Voldemort's curse, no longer buffered by any Horcrux magic, cannot penetrate Harry's will. The Elder Wand wrenches itself from Voldemort's hand and spirals high into the air. Time seems to slow as the wand twists and arcs in the dawn light, and lands neatly in Harry's outstretched hand. Defenseless and struck by his own reflected curse, Voldemort's crimson eyes widen in disbelief. A blast of pure magic rebounds upon him, the killing curse finding its only remaining target. Voldemort is blasted off his feet. For one fleeting moment, his body hangs suspended as a pale, shriveled thing, no longer protected from death in any way. And then he falls back to earth with an unceremonious thud. Silence cascades across the battlefield. The Dark Lord lies on the ground, skeletal and motionless. Tom Riddle, who split his soul to escape mortality, has died a mortal man. His wand arm sprawls at an unnatural angle, and his snake-like face is blank, devoid of life or any remnant of the terrible power it once held. One by one, the surviving Death Eaters realize their master's fate. Shocked cries turn to screams as some turn and flee into the forest, while others drop their wands and sink to their knees, too stunned to resist capture. The defenders of Hogwarts stand frozen for a heartbeat, scarcely believing their eyes. Then a swell of sound rises as Hogwarts survivors realize the miracle they've witnessed. Joyous cries and sobs of relief echo against the stone walls. "He did it! Voldemort is finished!" someone shouts hoarsely. The crowd rushes forward. Ron and Hermione reach Harry first, grabbing him in a tight embrace. Harry clutches them back, eyes closed, feeling their tears on his shoulder and realizing his own cheeks are wet. Around them, others join. Ginny wraps her arms around Harry in a fervent kiss. The Weasley family gathers, laughter and grief mingling as they celebrate and mourn at once. Hagrid, overwhelmed with joy, envelops Harry in a bear hug that nearly cracks ribs, weeping openly into his wild beard. Never has Hogwarts witnessed a moment of such bittersweet triumph. As the cheers reverberate, Harry's gaze drifts across the courtyard to those who will never cheer again. Many brave witches and wizards lie still, draped in makeshift shrouds or cradled by weeping loved ones. Among them, Harry sees the bodies of Remus and Tonks, still hand in hand even in death, and Fred Weasley, eyes closed as if peacefully dreaming. In that moment of victory, Harry feels the absence of one face most profoundly, Albus Dumbledore. If only his old mentor could have witnessed this day. Harry closes his eyes and imagines Dumbledore's kind smile, remembering how the headmaster always believed in him. Though Dumbledore never uncovered the Horcrux secret, his faith and teachings still guided Harry to this triumphant end. Harry silently thanks him, hoping that somewhere Dumbledore knows that peace has finally been won. The sun climbs higher, casting golden light over the ravaged castle and its courtyard full of survivors. Hogwarts is battered and broken, but it stands. As people begin to tend to the wounded and gather the fallen with reverence, Harry, Ron, and Hermione find themselves standing together on the front steps, arms around each other. They are exhausted, bloodied and bruised, but alive and victorious. In this timeline, victory did not come from a flawless master plan. It came from the courage, love, and determination of 3 young wizards who refused to give up even when they walked in darkness. Voldemort, devoid of love and consumed by his own ego, was ultimately defeated by the things he never understood. The prophecy has been fulfilled, and the nightmare is over. Surrounded by friends who are really family, Harry feels a swell of bittersweet contentment. They will move forward and rebuild. Together, they will ensure that those who were lost are remembered and that the freedom won this day is never taken for granted. Thank you for watching the Alternate Scrolls. If you enjoyed this journey through magic and fate, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more alternate stories.